My name is Clara, I'm 34, and I work full-time as a marketing analyst. 3 years ago, I married a man named Ethan, someone I once believed was steady, supportive, and reliable. At first, our marriage was decent. Not thrilling, but it worked. We lived in a small apartment, had weekend takeouts, and binge-watched crime documentaries together. Life wasn't a fairy tale, but it was fine. Until the foundation started to crack. It began subtly. Ethan quit his job claiming he needed a fresh start to pursue a business idea. I believed in him. I supported him through every brainstorming session, every pitch deck, and every failure. But the idea never took off. Months passed. Then a year. Our savings drained. Bills piled up. I ended up covering everything: rent, groceries, gas, even his online business subscriptions. If financial stress had been the only problem, maybe we could have worked through it. But Ethan brought a different kind of burden into our home: his mother and younger brother, who still lived together in the family house. Every weekend, Ethan insisted we visit them. At first, I went willingly. I thought, this is what good wives do. But soon, I dreaded those visits like the plague. His mother had a sharp tongue disguised as concern. "Clara, are you sure you're feeding Ethan properly? He looks tired." A woman's job is to support, not complain. My generation never spoke back. His brother, meanwhile, was a 25-year-old man-child who treated me like his personal ATM. "Hey Clara, can I borrow a few hundred for this new gaming console? I'll pay you back next week." He never did. The worst part? Ethan never stood up for me. Not once. In fact, he'd often join in, brushing off my discomfort with, "They're just being family, Clara. Lighten up." I tried to set boundaries. I asked for fewer visits. More time for us. He looked at me like I'd just insulted his ancestors. Then came the day when everything tipped. We were sitting at his mother's dinner table. She made some nasty comment about how modern wives only know how to spend money. Before I could even react, his brother chimed in, "Clara, you've got a good paying job, right? Can you lend me $600? I need a new phone." I blinked. Ethan said nothing. "Worse," he added, "she probably has it in her purse. Just take it." His mom laughed like it was the funniest thing in the world. "That's why you're a good son, Ethan. Providing for the family." I sat there, stunned. A knot in my chest tightened. That wasn't generosity. That was entitlement. On the way home, I finally asked the question I'd been holding in for months. "Why do you pretend to be the provider when I'm the only one working?" He shrugged. "I'm the man of the house, Clara. I have my pride." "Pride doesn't pay the rent," I said. "Making my mom happy isn't a crime," he replied defensively. That argument bled into the next week. Everything I said, he dismissed. Every concern I voiced, he twisted. One evening, he told me we were going to visit his family, again. I said, "I'm not going." He stopped, his expression darkening. "A wife is supposed to go where her husband goes." I looked him dead in the eyes. "Funny. You've never once come with me to visit my parents." He scoffed and stormed out, slamming the door behind him. And just like that, silence filled the apartment. The first peaceful silence in months. That weekend changed something in me. For the first time in a long while, I had space to breathe. I slept without tension. I woke up without dread. I could hear my own thoughts again. I spent that time imagining something impossible. What if I left? What if I had a space that was truly mine, without judgment, without manipulation? I opened my laptop and started looking at houses. Just browsing. At first, it felt like daydreaming. But then I saw a listing that made my heart race. A small house on a quiet street. Bright windows. Clean lines. Nothing fancy, but it looked like freedom. The next day, Ethan returned. He barely looked at me. He sulked for a while, then sat down on the couch. "Dinner?" he asked, as if nothing had happened. I cooked, but my mind was elsewhere. I was already planning. Then, as I was setting the table, he spoke again. "You've been defiant lately." "Defiant?" I repeated. He nodded, like he was some disappointed teacher. "Yeah. A wife should obey her husband. If you can't do that, maybe we need to talk about divorce." He said it so casually, like he expected me to beg him not to. Instead, I simply said, "Okay." He blinked. "Wait, seriously?" "You said it," I replied. "Maybe it's time." He didn't expect that. He stood up, crossed his arms, put on a smug grin. "Well, if you defy me again, I'm filing." Then he walked off and slammed the bathroom door, heading for a shower. As the water started running, I stared at the ceiling. And I smiled. He had no idea. He just handed me the key to my freedom. From that day forward, I saved every penny. I cut all unnecessary spending. I cooked simple meals. I wore old clothes. I canceled every subscription. Ethan didn't notice a thing. He was too absorbed in his fantasy of control. Meanwhile, I worked overtime, applied for freelance gigs, and kept building my secret escape fund. And then, I bought the house. Not tomorrow. Not someday. I actually bought it. Just a few more steps. And I'd be gone. Quietly. Completely. Forever. The plan was simple. I'd leave quietly, on my own terms. I didn't pack everything at once. That would raise suspicion. Instead, I started sending boxes to my parents' house, telling Ethan I was just decluttering. He didn't ask questions. He never did. He was too busy watching tutorials about business strategies he never followed through on. When the final weekend arrived, Ethan left to visit his mother, again. As usual, he didn't ask if I wanted to come. As usual, I didn't offer. That weekend, I packed the last of my belongings and walked out of our apartment for the last time. I didn't feel sad. That place had never felt like home. It had been a waiting room, a cage. The moment I walked into my new house, I felt the air shift. It was mine. Every wall, every window, every quiet corner. I opened the windows wide. I unpacked slowly. I took deep breaths. For the first time in years, I didn't feel like I was shrinking myself to fit into someone else's story. I was writing my own now. That evening, as I placed a new plant by the window, my phone buzzed. Ethan. I stared at the screen for a long moment. Then I picked up. Where are you? He demanded. Why does the apartment look like a robbery just happened? I kept my tone calm. I moved out. What? Why? Because we're getting divorced. There was silence on the line. Then his voice cracked with confusion. You're not serious. I filed the papers today, I said firmly. We're officially strangers now. Clara, no. I didn't mean it. I was just mad that day. You can't just leave. You said I was defiant. That if I couldn't obey, we should divorce. So I agreed, and I hung up. I stood there for a moment, my hand still holding the phone, my body humming with quiet joy. I had done it. A few days passed. Peace returned. My parents visited. We shared sparkling cider and made toasts to new beginnings. I cooked lunch, music playing softly in the background. Then, the doorbell rang. I wasn't expecting anyone. I checked the camera at the gate. And my stomach flipped. Ethan. His mother. His brother. Standing outside my front door. Ethan smirked at the camera like he still owned the world. Open up, he said. We're moving in. I blinked. Excuse me? His mother leaned in with that same condescending tone I remembered all too well. This house is big enough for all of us. Your husband's recovering from heartbreak. He needs support. And so do we. My husband? I replied. You mean my ex-husband? You're being difficult, Clara, his brother whined. You've got space. Why be selfish? That was it. You are not welcome here, I said, voice firm. Leave. Now. His mother's eyes narrowed. How dare you? What's yours is his. And what's his is ours. Actually, this house was bought with my money, while he was busy doing nothing. They started shouting. Ethan banged on the door, furious. I walked away. Calmly. And I did what I should have done long ago. I called the police. The officers arrived within minutes. Red and blue lights flashed through the window as I stood silently inside, watching from a distance. Ethan tried to argue. His mother screamed. His brother cursed. But it didn't matter. The police saw enough to restrain Ethan. They gave the others a final warning. As they escorted him toward the car, he turned back and shouted, "Why are you doing this to me?" I didn't respond. There was nothing left to say. Later that night, my dad gave me a soft pat on the back. In situations like this, he said with a grin, you call the cops first, talk later. I laughed. For real this time. No mask. No pain behind it. Just laughter. In the following days, I learned that Ethan had been stalking me, waiting outside my office, trying to find the right moment to force a conversation. The police took it seriously. I filed a restraining order against him, and his family. And just like that, every door between us was finally closed. Meanwhile, his world crumbled. With no income from me, his so-called business collapsed. His mother's house had to be sold. His brother had to find a job, for the first time in his life. And Ethan? He faded into irrelevance. As for me, I invited my parents to move in. We turned that house into a real home, full of warmth, shared meals, and quiet joy. There were no more arguments. No manipulation. No walking on eggshells. Just peace. And healing. I know life will bring challenges. My parents are getting older, and I want to be there, as they were for me. Whether it's doctor appointments, groceries, or just sitting with them in silence, I'm ready. I have found my place in the world, and no one, is ever taking that away again.